There's quite a long list of companies that I've been involved either as a researcher or consultant or speaker at different forums related to platform strategy. And these include companies such as EMC or Cisco and SAP, even some companies outside of the information technology industry, companies such as General Motors, for example. But the most important point about platforms is that managers just can't let them evolve by chance. We tend to think of some industries or technologies as encouraging natural monopolies. And that's actually a term that the US government used in the Microsoft antitrust trial. Again, when they came down heavily on Microsoft for its dominance of Windows and tying the internet browser to Windows. But there was really nothing natural about the monopoly that Microsoft created. They did a lot of things to promote that dominant position. And companies that are successful in establishing their products or their technologies as global platforms are usually doing a number of things. And we have a fairly clear idea about what those common strategies have to be. One, the technology they use has to be somewhat open. In other words, it has to be open enough that other companies can adopt it and build new products or services on top of it. It doesn't have to be as open as something like open source software, but it has to be relatively open. Second thing, the technology has to be relatively modular. And again, this is not a fast rule as to what modularity means, but there has to be a way for other companies to build on or improve parts of the platform and do things with the technology or their technology that were really not anticipated in the original usage of the platform. In other words, the usage has to keep expanding, and this is what innovation is about. If the technology is too integral or too tightly coupled and too closed, then it doesn't get widely adopted. And the example I usually use on this is the Macintosh, which came out in 1984, was clearly a superior product to, say, the DOS computers that existed at that time, but it was very hard to build peripherals or software applications that worked with the Macintosh computer. It really was a closed integral system, pretty much. And that's one reason why Microsoft won the desktop wars, and it went on from DOS to Windows. So these ideas of openness and modularity are really quite important. And a platform also has to be a mechanism for bringing multiple parties together in some way for some common purpose or to solve some common problem, whether it's to advance personal computing or internet communications or transportation. So usually it's a company that comes up with a solution to a common problem that draws other companies in, but the solution is not so complete that it prevents further innovation. And again, that's where openness and modularity are important. So when it comes to operating systems for the desktop, we have a case of DOS and Windows. We have a battle going on right now in smartphones, and you see Google stepping in and being more open, in some ways more modular than, say, the iPhone was, and taking over market leadership in that space, whereas the iPhone was this incredible product. And actually the iPhone and other Apple products have become platforms compared to the early Macintosh days. And this is another example I write quite a lot about, that Apple learned the lesson from the Macintosh that it had to be more open, it had to be more modular, it had to let an ecosystem appear around its products, otherwise they really would not be widely adopted. And it started that change in strategy with the iPod back in the early 2000s, and then added iTunes, for example, and then the iPhone, and then the iPad, and then iCloud, and all these technologies are now more open than Apple technologies used to be. And they've been quite successful, but not quite as successful as some more open technologies. So we'll see what happens there.